So mine is finally going to be like, I think I've talked about AFC teams a lot this year. This one's I like this one, the NFC. Micah Parsons should be in your defensive player of the year rankings, and he should be right in the thick of it. I think he should be third. I know I would put Miles and TJ are right there. Like, I think they're right in between each other again, because I can argue that Miles gets double teamed more, and I think TJ benefits from playing in a 3-4 versus Miles gets double teamed in a 4-3. So that argument, there's just a lot of that, and also TJ isn't healthy. But I think Parsons should be right there at number 3, or or 1A, 1B, and then 1C, because this dude has been phenomenal. And, this is a guy that I've watched a lot of. Remember, I did a video on him with him and JOK. They've been good in both of their, retrospects, but Parsons, like, this dude has literally changed the entire Dallas defense. Like, this guy has been responsible for, Randy Gregory playing well, D-Law at times, right? Like, I think because of him, these weird matchups, like if you put him in, plugging up the A gap or him coming through straight through, right? A running back literally can't stop him. It's unfair. And he plays the game in such a weird way where he's literally like timing it, and he's not even bull rushing. He's just speed rushing at the guy. So he plays with such a unique way because of his kind of hybrid, defensive caliber, right? Like, cause he's listed as a linebacker, but he plays a lot of defensive end snaps. And, it's just, I think Dan Quinn has a lot of fun with this guy. And, you can look at the numbers. I think he's had a sack in like the last 6 games or something, and he's got like 12 on the year. He's got a few forced fumbles, and like, he's really changed the course of some games. I think, I think this is a narrative that's coming out right now that, we need to really start talking about him as like one of the 3 best, edge rushers in football.
I think my list right now for defensive player of the year goes TJ, then Miles, then Parsons, and then probably Bosa.
Yeah. Bosa.
But I mean, you said it yourself. He's having an incredible year, and he is going to be, the leader for that defense for hopefully years to come. I think he's got great leadership traits, and obviously they rally behind him. So I think he's definitely a top 3 edge rusher in football. Are you saying this year or just overall?
I'm gonna say this year, but I'll also say this, like, he's got mad potential. Like, and I think Cowboys fans can finally put this to bed. When I also said this too, like, you guys are tripping if they're like, oh my God, we should have gotten Surtain. Like, no, why did we get Parsons? I was like, no. Really? Stop this. Like, I was saying this back then, and I think Cowboys fans can comfortably say that now, that, as good as Surtain has been, like, he's been honestly like, a top 10 to 12 corner this year. Parsons can just do more, and he can just have a bigger impact play by play. Because you've seen him sometimes do well in coverage too.
Oh yeah, right? He's been pretty respectable in coverage. He had his flaws, I think, like preseason early in the year, but he's coming to his own. I think it's the interesting part is like they're not using him in coverage when he shouldn't be, if that makes any sense. Like they are using him the correct way, and they've kind of learned, this is when we can afford to put him in coverage. This is the time we need him on the line. We can take advantage of this matchup. We can blitz him then. Dan Quinn deserves a lot of credit for what he's done this year.
This is why some people are just better as coordinators than they are head coaches, because head coaches, it's a whole personnel issue and stuff like that. There's different jobs. I think people need to realize that. And I think like the cool thing about Parsons, he kind of lines up in these triangle formation, right? He can line up on one side of the line, the other side, and right in the middle. I think that's like so cool about it. I also do want to say one thing. I don't know if this was Jack, but I did have a couple comments on the video I made questioning his off the field stuff. I remember that was like, a little bit of a concern.
Yes.
He's been nothing short of phenomenal. Like aside from that one, I think he said like one thing about how like the NFL isn't hard. Aside from that,
that could come back to bite him.
Yeah, which isn't
the field said the same thing.
Yeah, well, like which isn't.
He said the NFL was too slow. Or no, too
like,
fast.
Like,
I don't know. I think that's just a little bit of like out there confidence. I don't know.
Like which isn't even like a character. So like he's been nothing short of great. And like, I've seen a little bit of the clips on Hard Knocks, and I've seen some stuff, of him mic'd up. Nothing short of phenomenal. I'm glad, that at least take by me was kind of passed through. Cause, yes, he had his issue, or like he had a little incident in college, but again, he was only like 18, 19. So
and it was still rumors. Like that's the thing. The rumors were scary, but I think they ended up kind of not being, the fruition was not that. It didn't come to fruition like I think a lot of people thought it would. Before I talk about Parsons, I think you guys got to throw some more respect on Aaron Donald's name. I might still have Donald.
Oh, well, I'm saying edge rusher.
I'm talking about defensive player of the year. Like Shrikar didn't put him in his top 4.
Okay.
I believe Aaron Donald still leads the league in pressures. He at least leads Garrett.
Nope. I think leader in pressures is.
No, it's Max. I think it's Max.
Yeah.
I think it's Max.
Well, I know
Crosby, and I think Bosa's second.
Watt and
I think he might be about. Garrett is 5th.
He
Watt's
leads
not
one
up
Garrett.
yet.
I think
Yeah.
Donald had 68 and Garrett has 62, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Oh, if
And
Donald has
he still
68,
has 12 sacks. He's still Aaron Donald. You know he's pulling more double teams than I know Garrett's pulling a lot, but on the inside, he's getting double teamed in an insane amount. So I'm just saying, I think right now I have Parsons in my top 4. I don't know the order yet, but those are my top 4: Watt, Garrett,
who'd you
Parsons.
put 1 right now?
But Donald, I think he's moving up there, especially after last week. I mean, 14
Mm-hmm.
pressures in a primetime game. It's gonna
And that game winning
earn him a lot. But I mean, Parsons, you hit the nail on the head. He's been absolutely terrific. I said coming in that JOK was my number 1 linebacker last year in the draft. I still stand by that, mostly because I mean, Parsons hasn't exactly been a linebacker. I think he should be played almost completely at edge going forward. He's got the versatility to sometimes drop back in coverage. JOK has been just as good in a different role. Maybe not making as many
that's exactly what I was saying.
Noteworthy plays. They're 2 different players, so I feel like that you can't really compare that anymore. But Parsons has been tremendous. If a tackle can't block him, you can't really expect a running back to, and they can't. He almost had an interception too. Like, I think the only thing we haven't seen from him this year is like solid hands. He was in perfect position and just dropped the interception last week. He's been one of the top players in the NFL this year, completely changed a Dallas defense that I think we all really wrote off coming into the year.
Yes.
And something interesting, he has through 13 games, I would say a better defensive player of the year resume than Khalil Mack had through 16 games when he won it. And that's pretty crazy.
Was that the year Khalil had the 5-sack game?
I don't remember, but I know.
Yeah, see, that's why I don't, because if that was the year, then I'm gonna disagree. But if it's not, then I'll give you that, because I remember like the year he won it, there just weren't that many like Watt was hurt. I remember like Donald, I think Donald had just won it and like people didn't want to give it to him again. I remember what you were saying, but if that's the year he had the 5-sack game, then I'm gonna disagree, because that was like week 16, and that like really was like, oh my God, this guy is here. Like Khalil Mack is here. But yeah, I think like in terms of, Parsons, what he's had in his 13 games, dude, the sky's the limit for this guy, because he can be an anchor for a Dallas defense for years. Like this, like LT was literally I'm not going to say that Parsons.
Yeah, don't compare to LT.
I'm never going to do that. But what I'll say is LT was like an anchor, right? And a defensive leader that could have that impact for literally 10 seasons. Parsons has that type of potential. Not saying he'll have the same impact, but he can be that anchor, or that, absolute like quote unquote defensive, franchise piece, someone that you can build around, right? I think that, and him, since he's so versatile like LT, because LT would literally choose where he would go on the field, and Parcells would get mad. I watched a documentary on it. Like Parsons is like that type of dude to where like he's just playing like how he wants to play in certain aspects. So
2 more things. One, for the QB pressure stat, Donald isn't even in the top 9. It's Myles Garrett, Nick Bosa, Micah Parsons.
Is that updated? Because I don't know if that's updated.
It's through week 14.
Okay, so then
Aaron Donald has 34.
I knew Max was one.
You say Aaron Donald has 34?
Aaron Donald has 34 QB pressures.
I don't believe that's true in the slightest.
Max Crosby also.
Garrett have?
Garrett has 44.
Okay. I think this must be just different databases, because the numbers that I was seeing were in the 60s. So I think it's like,
but I think
it's different. It's a different
I know what
calculate.
graphic you're looking at, Jack. I think it's from Catch the Blitz. That's the graphic.
Mine is from Football Stat Page.
I think it's different. Because like different stat pages qualify pressures in a different form.
Yeah,
like that's why like ESPN uses different like grades as PFF does for like QBR and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But
And then the second thing I had was also, this is the last thing I'm going to say about Parsons. This is why that best player available can be better than team needs.
Agreed.
They didn't, as Anish said, a lot of Cowboys fans wanted Surtain. It was a need, but if Parsons was on the board, I think it was the right pick. And obviously you're seeing the dividends of that now.
Yeah. So by the way, Mac 2016 was his defensive player of the year. He was 11 sacks, 14 tackles for loss, 26 QB hits.
Yeah,
this
I don't think
Pro Football Reference. Micah this year through 3 less games is 12 sacks, 17 tackles for loss, and 27 quarterback hits through 13. And he's playing in coverage.
Yeah, this guy is sensational.
He's absolutely absurd. I mean, just hats off to the Cowboys for for seeing through all the things and that clouded people's visions, including mine, of Micah Parsons. And shout out to him for just balling. He's doing push-ups on the sideline too. I mean, he's in his bag. He's just doing what he does. And I think that he's going to be a very key piece to this Dallas defense for years to come. He will contend for Defensive Player of the Year this year, future years. So hats off to Micah Parsons. That's all we got for takeaways. Let's get into